On the ASEAN Forum, we're joined by Qinduo Xu in Beijing. He is a senior researcher at Pangoal Institution and a political analyst for China Radio International. Qinduo, thanks so much for joining us. The foreign ministers at ASEAN praised the summit as productive. What do you think of the assessment that this summit was in fact productive?
Well, I think he referred to the quite some outcomes for this current conference just finished. For example, between China and ASEAN, there's quite some report about this single draft for COC negotiating text. This is very important because this is the foundation for the next stage to reach regulation, basically to reach a set of rules to regulate the behavior of parties, from 10 ASEAN countries and also China in particular, about the South China Sea neighboring countries here. Because, previously you have basically 11 versions of the text based on which they are going to move on to next stage. 11 versions, coming from basically China and also 10 ASEAN countries. Now, after years of work, they have reached a single text, a single draft text for negotiation. So this is something. And also, you see, as the Singaporean foreign minister pointed out, during this whole process, this is also serves as a confidence-building process. There's a lot of getting to know each other and confidence building for reaching a consensus on which foundation we are going to move to next stage. So this is, and also of course, with the trade war between China and the US going on, there's extra urgency for the ASEAN-led negotiation for the regional trade agreement that is called RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So the countries, they are basically have a timeline to finish the negotiation before the end of this year. So this is quite something. And also you can see there's other confidence building measures between China and ASEAN. For example, there's a tip-top military exercise. Basically, Navy officers from China and ASEAN countries sit in the same room and design plans for the upcoming maritime exercise that will be in China in October. Basically, it's about search and rescue operation on the sea, and like a medical evacuation, and if there's a fire on the oil tanker, what we are going to do. So all those measures will move forward, basically for long-term peace and stability cooperation between China and ASEAN countries. I think it is, yes, indeed quite productive.
Qinduo, we only have about a minute. We want to talk about the Korean Peninsula that was brought up during the ASEAN summit and forum. These recent exchanges of letters between President Trump and Kim Jong-un passed along through those foreign ministers there. What do you make of this?
Well, I think basically the two countries are still following the timeline, still following the goals set by the two leaders from North Korea and from, of course, Donald Trump here. Despite all that, there are some differences, obviously. There's a complaint from the foreign minister of North Korea, basically, accusing the United States of continuing, basically, getting tougher on the economic sanctions on their country. And they think probably that's unfair, given what they have done. For example, the pause of testing either nuclear or missile test, and also the remains of US soldiers being sent back to Washington, things like that. They think they have done a lot, and there should be something to match their efforts. But they are not, I think they are expecting the lessening of the economic sanctions. So the tough talk by Pompeo, the Secretary of State, obviously is not welcome in North Korea. But still, I think generally the two countries are moving ahead with what they are going to achieve at the goal set by the two leaders here.
Qinduo Xu, live for us in Beijing. Thank you so much for joining us.